Guys, after subscribing to this channel, please make sure that you also press the bell icon so that no notification, no new video of mine, any educational video, is missed by anybody.
All right. So this is a very important case when it comes to discussion. I wouldn't say that it's an unimportant case in any which way, though it can come as a short case. And nausea vomiting can be, throwing you off in the usual practical scenario at any point in time. So my request to everybody who's watching this, even the recorded version, will be to pay attention to the minutest question that I'll be asking. And also remember that any one of these questions can be asked in your exam, Viva, even if you're presenting any other case. Because nausea, vomiting, every patient has, right? And Swati has done a very good job I was just going through history, very beautiful history. So people who have not been able to present a nice history can take pointers from her, okay? So this is the first week. I'm sure by the end, you'll all be able to, present beautifully, but there is no harm in learning improvisation. So Swati, you can start.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. I'm starting. My patient, Mrs. A, 24 years old, resident of Jabalpur, housewife, wife of Mr. X, who is farmer by occupation, Hindu by religion, married since 1 year. She is middle class, primigeda. She has regular menses. So by that, her LMP is 6 December 2025 and EDD is 13 September 2026. By that, her period of gestation is 10 weeks.
So she's about 10 weeks pregnant and she's 24-year-old and this is the first pregnancy, right?
Yes, primary evidence.
All these things, all these details are important to me. Otherwise also, and here also, right? Okay. What was the chief complaint?
She's a primary gravida with 2.5 month amenorrhea. She came with the complaining of 7 to 8 time episode of vomiting since 1 day. There is no complaining of any abdominal pain or bleeding per vagina.
All right. So her chief complaint is 7 to 8 episodes of vomiting since 1 day and no other complaint. What are you thinking right now? Swati, what will you ask her so that, you're able to come to some DD? What's coming in your
mind? Bowel bladder complaint?
Yeah, definitely. That's the first thing that will come in mind. What could it be? I mean, nausea, vomiting, why? For me also, when somebody comes, it's, 7 weeks, suddenly she's about 10 weeks pregnant, right? I am anticipating her to have, by the way, what is the peak incidence of hyperemesis or nausea, vomiting in pregnancy? What gestational age you'll have peak symptoms of nausea, vomiting? Anyone? Anamika, can you please tell me? What do you think? What is the gestational age at which you will find maximum peak of these problems?
7 to 8 weeks, ma'am.
I'll tell you. The answer is 9 to 12 weeks. Maximum incidence of the problems that occurs between 9 to 12 weeks. Okay. So she's falling in that zone. So you are anticipating that definitely. That is the first thing on my mind, that maybe it's just hyperemesis. But suddenly she never had it at 9 weeks. She never had it at, she's 10 right now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It's building up. And suddenly she's having 7 to 8 episodes in 1 day. So my first incidence will be whether you were fine. What food did you have? Were you able to digest that food? Did you have food outside? Yeah, go on.
Yes, sir. There is no history of any having the food outside.
We will discuss about it. We're just thinking of what DD is coming in my mind. So one is normal hyperemesis in pregnancy or nausea vomiting of pregnancy. But the second thing that you're thinking is gastrointestinal. Symptoms. The other thing, anything else that you're thinking of? In your Foxy, there's a very nice table given of DD. Okay. I always ask DD in the very beginning because I believe that, okay, that's fine, Prajakta, but she's saying no complaint of pain abdomen. But yes, appendicitis can, present in any which way. But we just mentioned gastrointestinal, symptoms or gastrointestinal disorders. Correct? Okay. So pancreatitis. Okay. Pancreatitis has very bad pain, epigastric. Very bad. So you can't miss it. But she does not have any. You said very clearly over here, no abdominal pain or bleeding. That's why I'm not going in those directions, right? Otherwise, my idea would have been to what else could it be? Maybe long-standing chronic or acute liver disorder, isn't it? Maybe something to do with the pregnancy itself. Maybe she's having molar pregnancy. Maybe she's having twins. Isn't it possible? Right?
Yes,
So this DD should be there in your mind. Only then will you be able to take a nice history. Okay? I'll explain it to you when I'll show you my study material, which I always give you as a PPT. In that, the last few columns are dedicated to what is given in your FOXY guidelines on nausea vomiting. It's very different from the GTG guidelines. FOXY guidelines are not very old, but at the same time, they're not in sync with the GTG. GTG is very, very, very new. 23 or 24 guidelines are there. So they say a huge, that big, table is there on DD of nausea, vomiting, and pregnancy. So we will read it together. But right now, on the top of my head, what is coming in my mind is that something to do with gastrointestinal symptoms, or she had outside food, or she had something which she couldn't digest, or it's just nausea, vomiting, and pregnancy. Maybe she had acute on chronic liver disorders, or some fresh infection. Something is going on, right? Appendicitis, cholecystitis, all these things are also at the back of my head. But since she's not having any abdominal pain, I'm putting it a little low. Maybe she's having molar pregnancy. Maybe she's having twin pregnancy. You never know. Now you'll tell me the history.
History of presenting illness. She is complaining of 7 to 8 episode of vomiting since one day, not able to tolerate liquids and solids, food, no relief on medication. Vomit is containing the food particles, clear, not bile stain. There was no history of fever, abdominal pain in the lower abdominal pain. There is no history of having outside food. There was no complaining of bloating, acidity. Puke score is 10.
Now, here when you said, I'll talk about the puke score also in detail. When you said 7 to 8 episodes of vomiting since one day, she's not able to tolerate liquids and solids. No relief on medication. What medication she was taking?
She was taking doxylamine, ma'am.
Just that? No pyridoxine?
With a combination of pyridoxine.
Pyridoxine and doxylamine. And how did she tell you that? Was she educated enough to remember the salts?
No, she told me that doctor gave her medicine for the vomiting to relieve the vomiting.
You presume that she's having doxylamine and pyridoxine?
Yes, ma'am.
So then say that. Okay? Otherwise, you'll get caught in the exams. And what patient told you that she's having doxylamine and pyridoxine? Not even the educated patients, not even doctors are able to say that. They say Doxinate, we were eating Doxinate, or we were eating Ondem, or we were eating some brand they'll speak, but they will not remember the salts. So when you're using the word doxylamine, pyridoxine, be very specific. Was this the patient's language or not? Again and again, I'm telling you guys, you will get caught in exams. Okay, I am not a very strict examiner. I love my students, so I give them encouragement. But in exams, this could be a bad, point to be caught at, because no patient will be able to tell you the salts. Okay, so ma'am, some medication, probably the first line antiemetics, that you can say, probably, as you are presuming. Nothing is, so she's not able to eat the antiemetics also. She's vomiting immediately after that. Is that so?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, something more that you need to ask over here. She's not able to tolerate liquids. She's not able to tolerate solids. Something else which you want to ask her to understand the severity of her problem.
She can have oral intake. She can take. She can have.
She's not able to tolerate orally, na? She's not able to tolerate liquids or solids orally. So then what are we talking? Okay, we're trying to understand her quality of life. I understand puke score is one of them. Very good. Puke score, we'll talk about it in later, what exactly it is. But I would want to understand how bad is this severity. So she's not been able to eat solids or liquids since one day only. That's right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so has she felt dizzy? Is she passing enough of urine? All these things are important for me, isn't it? Why dizzy? Because BP might be low suddenly. And why urine? Because anytime she can have oliguria, because she's not able to take in liquids properly. Second and most important thing is that patient will never be able to give you a very smart history. So some people say that it is aggravated in one day, but actually she's been having dehydration since the past 3-4 days. Okay, she's not taking proper water anyways, because she feels kind of pukish, and she's avoiding water. Only she's taking bland solids, and she's not even thinking about it. So when you ask her, she says it's 1 day history, but actually it's a history almost a week old. In that case, she'll be really dehydrated. So oliguria is a very important history. Weight loss in her case. What are those 3 important things which make it distinguished from nausea, vomiting in pregnancy to hyperemesis gravidarum? What is that one thing? one thing and say two, three important things.
Weight loss.
Yeah, weight loss of
and
how much?
More than 5%
Percent
of the
of her
pre-pregnancy body weight.
Yes.
And muscle wasting.
That happens too late, actually. You know, electrolyte imbalance is better.
Electrolyte.
Dehydration. Okay, you will not be able to. Patient will never be able to tell you electrolyte imbalance. She can tell you dizziness. Dehydration, you can see by her sunken eyes, dry tongue, isn't it? Oliguria. This is the things that you would like to ask. So here you will have to add the history of questioning her about signs and symptoms of aggravated nausea, vomiting, or severity of her condition. Then we can go on to, you know, that she's had fever or not, she's having pain or not. Why do we want to know all these things? Swati, why fever you want to know?
To rule out infective cause.
Cause, yes. Infective cause like?
Gastroenteritis.
Gastroenteritis, okay. See, all these are inflammatory pathologies, okay? Cholecystitis is pancreatitis, cholecystitis. You can have fever in them also. Low-grade fever you can have in them also. But mostly these are inflammatory problems. Cholecystitis, pancreatitis, until unless they are infected. Correct? So she can have fever in pyelonephritis, isn't it? All these will have problems like nausea, vomiting. And at the same time, they will also cause fever. So yes, you're right. Pain in lower abdomen for obvious reasons. You can't dissociate pain in abdomen with nausea, vomiting. Okay, very, very obvious. Most of the DDs are centered around the gastrointestinal causes. Okay, no history of having an outside feed for obvious reasons. Now tell me what exactly is the puke score? What 3 parameters do you see in puke score?
We see the how many times she nauseated, how many times she vomited in hours, and how many hours she felt nauseated, and retching episodes.
Retching episodes, nauseous episodes, and vomiting. Frank vomiting.
Three parameters.
We will discuss the puke score towards the end. But you should, when you're speaking puke score 10, you should know everything about puke score. I mean, I have not even asked you what is mild, what is moderate, what is severe. I have not asked you how much vomiting and how many hours of retching episodes and how many episodes is required to call it mild, moderate. But examiner will ask you when you speak about the puke score. And maximum Viva will finish around your first, second, third, this part of history of presenting illness and history of this thing, obstetric history. Most of the Viva will be over by then. Some Viva might start after examination, but yes, this is the part. All right.